Welcome to WagerTalk TV. I am Kelly Stewart, joined today by South Point Sportsbook Director Chris Andrews at Andrews Sports on Twitter. Make sure you guys give him a follow. You got any fun questions? I always like to follow the bookmakers in town because you get all the good inside information. We're going to talk some Super Bowl props from a bookmaker's perspective, but Chris has a little thing he wanted to say first.
Well, first thing I want to say is I want to thank your company for a few months ago we had a blood drive at the South Point, and you guys stood behind that. I think about 6 of you went down and donated blood. And of course, I had some health issues the last couple of years, and part of that was I needed a massive amount of blood transfusions, and you guys really did a good thing, and I want to publicly thank you guys for doing that.
Well, we're really glad to see you sitting here in this desk so we can get some great insight.
It was touch and go for a while there, Kelly,
hey,
but I'm here.
You're doing great.
So
you look great. You're feeling great, and that's all that matters. All right, guys, Super Bowl props. Listen, this is kind of always interesting to get it from a bookmaker's perspective. Obviously, I usually interview a ton of handicappers, so I'm going to ask you a couple different questions I ask those guys. When you guys sit down a couple weeks before, obviously, because you're not doing it the week before, but a couple weeks before you start figuring out maybe which teams might be in the Super Bowl, get your prop sheet lined up, what goes into making these Super Bowl props? Well,
first thing we do is look at last year's sheet, and we try to take notes. What did they bet? What did we win on? What was the sharp side? What was the public side? And that kind of gives us our basis to start. Now, we didn't know, was it going to be Mahomes? Was it going to be Brady? Was it going to be Breeze? Was it going to be Goff? So we had, Andrew Luck was in the mix.
Especially with the way those lines were so tight there towards the end, it could have went either way.
So that's part of it. That's probably like the starting point is we look at that. And of course, last year, what was the total? About 47, 48?
It was a lower Super Bowl total, if I remember correctly.
And this one we opened 58.5, I think, so 10 more points. So just geared a little bit more towards a higher scoring game.
Okay, all right. What types of bets move these prop numbers? So I know you guys released your props Wednesday, added a couple more throughout the week. Like, you guys obviously take limits, but what kind of number or what kind of amount of money does it actually take to move these numbers?
Well, you know the way it is when you first open. Like all the all-stars are right there. I got a couple of guys in mind. So we take a dime to open up. Now, we're pretty battered around, and I think our numbers right now are pretty good. Now the public starts coming in, and I always tell, also like the phone account guys, keep them to a dime. But anybody shows up at the counter, I
love your tweet. I gotta say this. And, you're like, bring cash, and we'll go from there.
We'll go from there. I mean, we get guys come in, and they want a big bet, and if we're in line, I always thought, and I tell my people, I says, if you can't get a hold of me, when in doubt, take the bet. That's all I could tell you. It's like I said, I love cash. And when a guy shows up with cash, we're looking to put that money in our pocket. So we win and lose just like anybody else. But, yeah, I'm looking to put guys on, sure.
All right. Okay, so give the guys, some of our viewers, some tips for betting Super Bowl props.
Well, I think, the way we do it, we definitely had a strategy going into last year. And I have to say it worked out quite well. It's like they were handicapping two different games. We had a lot of money, in different areas last year, and we tried to offset that with some of the props. So I would say try to look at that. When you see that initial move, those are wise guy bets.
Okay.
Now, by the end of the week, they're
all beat up.
The wise guys get kind of taken out, which is great for me. I mean, I love going in with the wise guy side, especially on props. So when you see those moves, and come Saturday, Sunday, those things can move a ton. Go back and look at that original number and the original move. And if you're a bettor out there, try to follow that move. Try to follow that initial play, because that's where the value is.
All right. And last but not least, not to pour salt into the wounds, but we knew historically maybe a safety right out of the gate. The first score was a safety, kind of burned the bookmakers. But what prop bet this year would cost the book the most if it wins? So far, I know it's early in the week, but is there something you have in mind that you're like, this cannot happen?
Yeah, there was 3 numbers for, well, I'd say more like about 5 numbers for each team. We lose into the 6 figures. If either team gets shut out. If either team finishes with exactly 3, exactly 9, exactly 10, or exactly 13. And all those numbers
just got absolutely hammered.
Yeah, we'll see during the course of the year. All the totals, what are we at, 56 and a half?
56 and a half right now.
Yeah. Not likely.
Right.
But You've been following sports all your life. I mean, crazy stuff happens, and if one of those crazy things happen,
it's going to be a bad day
how
at the
many
South
floors
Point.
on the South Point I'm going to jump on? No, I'm just kidding.
It's not really even that tall of a hotel, so don't do that. You might break a leg.
I don't want to break my ankles. You know, what good's that going to do?
Oh, my goodness. All right, great stuff from Chris Andrews. Make sure you guys give him a follow at Andrews Sports on Twitter. Next time you're in town or if you live in Vegas, head over to the South Point and say hello.